All right, good evening, everyone. We're going to call the meeting to order at 8:28 p.m. How's everyone doing tonight?
Great.
Doing just fine.
Fantastic.
Do you want me to do a roll call?
Sure, why not?
All right. Northreach 1.
Here.
Northreach 2 is me, and I am here. Astral Winds.
Present.
Lupin Moon.
Here.
Frozen Coast.
Here.
Ravenstone. Ravenstone said here in the chat. Icefire Bay.
Here.
We have established quorum.
Hooray. Thank you all for making it tonight, even though this is a meeting left over from the previous COC and not the times that we had agreed on. I appreciate you guys. We don't have a lot to talk about tonight, just as I'm sure you saw, audits and land statuses. And Hadelin, would you care to talk about that? You're a bit more of an expert on these things than I am. Audits, at least.
Sure, I'd be happy to do that. We need to have one procedural thing and approve that agenda.
Oh, you're right. I'm sorry.
So I would make the motion to approve the agenda.
Before that happens, I'd like to add something to the agenda.
Okay.
I have a non-regular member who I would like to appoint as my regent, and because she is a non-regular member, I need the BoD's permission to do so.
Hars, isn't that what Lupin Moon just did with Cinder?
Correct.
And that was handled via local all thing, right?
Yeah, it just needs to be passed at a local law thing. Although I did still have to get sort of something taken care of in the council as well. I don't remember if it was this or the board, but I remember that had to have been addressed at some point.
Okay. I mean, we could totally discuss and potentially give permission, but I still feel that would be a good thing to run through a local law thing as well.
So let's add that to the agenda, and then we can discuss it.
Yeah, good plan.
All right. I would like to make the motion to add that to the agenda, along with in addition to approving the previous agenda that was mentioned.
I will second that.
All right, is anyone against approving that agenda? Okay, hearing none, we will proceed. Hadelin, would you like to talk about audits now?
Yes, I would love to talk about audits now. Thank you. So I think everybody who is here, except for maybe Gideon, has gone through audits before. Is everybody clear on what audits are and what the board's role is in audits?
I know what the audits are, just not the board's role.
Gotcha. Okay. So every 6 months, the Kingdom of Dragonspine requires each of their lands to submit an audit to the Dragonspine BoD. The Dragonspine BoD reviews those audits, make sure everything is on track, and make sure that each land is meeting the requirements for their status. Since we are a principality of Dragonspine, we still have to sort of meet those requirements. And so, but we have our own board of directors, so we have an extra layer of approval in there. So Dragonspine on January 20th posted that audits would be due in a month, which, if you're good at math, would then be February 20th. And if you're even better at math, you know that we are 3 days past that deadline. This is unfortunate. So right now we are behind in getting our audits into Dragonspine. So as a board, what we need to do is once the audit packets are completed by the Chancellor's Council, all of that will be presented to the board, and the board will need to review the audits and vote on if they are an excellent rating, a pass rating, or a fail rating. In addition, the board would make recommendations to the Dragonspine BoD on land status, if any lands should be promoted or demoted. And I have been talking with my chancellors about this, and I missed the announcement from Dragonspine, and so I had been waiting for the announcement, and I'd already been speaking with my chancellors about it, but because I missed the announcement, we're now behind the 8 ball. So my council is working on getting things all up to speed, which is awesome. They are really incredible. Please pat your prime ministers on the back. And my goal is to have audit packets ready for the board's review in, let me look at my calendar here.
So, Hadelin, while you're looking at it, have you been talking with my potential prime minister? Because I know she hasn't been vetted and won't be vetted till this Saturday. But I just want to make sure she's in the loop as well.
You know, I have not reached out to her individually yet, but I can certainly do that to bring her up to speed. The Astral Winds audit will likely be the most difficult of the group because there's been very little hands-on prime ministry support for the past 6 months. And will be as available as I can to help her with that. But no, I haven't reached out to her yet. So my goal was to have audit packets available for the Northreach Board of Directors review by March 3rd, which is not tomorrow, but the next Friday. So if I can do that, what I would need is commitment from the board that we could review and vote on those audit packets by March 5th, Sunday. So then I could submit them. I could tell Dragonspine that I could submit our board's approved audit packets and recommendations by Monday, March, I think that's the 5th. Sorry, it's Monday, March 6th.
So these emergency board meetings, would they fall within the 10 days of 10 days prior scheduling?
So this isn't necessarily an emergency board meeting because it has been on the calendar for some time. It's a regularly scheduled meeting.
I think Dieter's talking about the one we would have to vote. And if we scheduled it today, the very first day that we could schedule a meeting and meet that 10-day timeline is Sunday, March 5th, which is why it is my suggestion of being the day that we complete the vote.
Okay, just checking.
Sorry, Dieter, I misunderstood.
I'll make a post about it announcing it.
What was that?
I said I'll make a post about it announcing it.
Announcing which?
Our board meeting.
The board meeting we're in right now, or the board meeting that we're talking about potentially scheduling for the 5th?
The latter.
Okay, we should probably decide that we're going to do that before anybody posts about it.
Well, isn't that already a board meeting that's planned for, or was that a COC meeting that was planned for?
I believe we started scheduling for Monday nights, didn't we?
It was the second and fourth Sundays, and so the answer to your question, Rosedath, is no. Neither the COC nor the board has a scheduled meeting on that day.
Okay.
And that would actually fit right along with what we were wanting to do for that meeting.
I make a motion to make the 5th a board of directors meeting.
I second it.
We'll actually have a GMR meeting on the 5th. Do you know about what time you're thinking?
Does 8 o'clock work for everyone?
I can do that.
What time is the GMR meeting?
I was just double checking that. I think it's actually at 8 o'clock.
Womp womp womp.
So, can we do the board meeting at 7?
I would be fine with that.
Likewise.
Also, if what we're looking at is just the voting on the audit packets, we can have discussion on the forums, and we can essentially hold the meeting on the forums and do the voting on the 5th. Like, it doesn't have to be, we don't have to meet via Mumble. We can meet via other electronic means.
7 o'clock would work just fine for me. If we could be done by 8, that would be great. It doesn't sound like we're going to have a very long meeting.
Yeah, it should be pretty quick.
Yeah, so it sounds like everyone would be available that Sunday at 7. So we can totally do the discussion on the forums over these, 10 days and then meet, have the vote, and be done, well before 8, I'm sure.
So I think the
Sounds
motion and
good.
second could still stand, and we could probably proceed with the voting.
Yes. Is anyone in opposition to a meeting, board of directors meeting at 7 p.m. on March 5th? All right. We will put it on the books. I'll do that right now.
So then also what I will do from that is I will notify the Dragonspine BoD board liaison who I was working with on this, which is Sir Randall if you're interested, that our board will have that meeting on the 5th and that we will provide completed audit packets to the Dragonspine BoD no later than Monday, March 6th.
Alright, so the plan is to have our meeting on the 5th. Did you want me to include any context? All I'm really doing is announcing the date right now.
The date should be fine, and Lucian can post an agenda closer to the day of. That should be fine.
Sounds good. Posting now.
So, Hadeland, something that might interest you. I went to put it on the calendar just now, and I see that we just scheduled that board meeting exactly in conjunction at the same time as a prime minister meeting.
Yeah, we'll probably not do that though, because I'm meeting with my prime ministers earlier in order to get the audit all caught up. So our meeting schedule is a little bit wonky because we're all hands on deck right now.
Got you. Okay. If you're good with it, I'm good with it. I just wanted to make sure everyone was aware.
Yep, we're good.
Sweet deal. Okay. Hadeland, you wanted to discuss land, what's the word?
Status?
Yes, thank you. Land status. And I believe you were referring to Astral Winds' situation with their audits, yes?
Yes. So just so everybody is aware, and I think that most people are, The last audit cycle resulted in a failure rating for Astral Winds based on attendance. And from my understanding of the attendance from the last 6 months, it is likely that their audit will result in another failure, just based on attendance, not on any of the audit packet or anything like that. Dragonspine has they have set limits for attendance, which are slightly different from the current Northreach requirements. The Northreach requirements are a little bit more stringent, but either way, depending upon whichever one we go with, it's unlikely that Astral Winds will meet that attendance requirement. So it's just something that I wanted people to sort of be thinking about, because this will be the first time we, as a board, have to consider what that means for us.
Yeah, so I had actually spoken with Dieter about this at Dungeon Crawl, and Dieter, if you wanted to bring everyone else up to speed on what you had told me your thoughts and plans were.
So we have realized up here in Astral Winds, I've been talking about this with Puddle Bubbles, Melissa, who was the prior monarch and is now hopefully stepping up into the role of Prime Minister to help fill that out for the next 3 months. She informed me that we have failed 2 audits in a row, which I understand. Attendance has definitely dropped up here. And to keep in accordance with both the corpora, our bylaws, and the admin manual, our park, I will be bringing it up actually at this next all thing on Saturday. Our park will be talking about demoting ourselves. The biggest question we have is whether we wish to demote ourselves to just a barony, or if we want to go all the way back to Shire and rebuild from there, because the requirements are less time consuming. But this is something I wanted to put before the populace of Astral Winds before it really went up to everybody else in Northreach.
I think that's a great way to approach that and handle that. I feel bad that my inattentiveness to the Dragonspine announcement has now put sort of the thumb screws to this and put the pressure on to make a decision amongst your park members with a lot less time, and I sincerely apologize for that.
I actually have a question. Since I've never seen this actually happen before, can we if they wanted to start from a shire, can we actually do that, or or is there a thing where it's if they fail it for the first time, they go down to barony, and then if they fail the next one, it's back down to shire or something like that?
So, from my understanding, the overall answer to your question is yes. If we were just following the sort of rules and penalties, I suppose, as it were, set in place, if they failed this one, they would be automatically up for consideration to be demoted to barony, and then if they, couldn't make that, it would go down to shire. But I don't see any reason that a park via local althing can't demote themselves to whatever they want.
I think it's also important to recognize that at this point in time, the body that has the authority to set a park status is the Dragonspine BoD. However, the Dragonspine BoD has historically, in all matters, supported whatever decision the Northreach BoD has made. But we don't actually have the authority to set anybody's park status. What we do as a board is we make recommendations that, as the Northreach BoD, we recommend XYZ, and then the Dragonspine BoD decides to they vote to either uphold our recommendations or do something different. And there's a little bit of a sort of an interesting situation here in that the Dragonspine BoD, the Dragonspine Corpora, has, well, and I should go back even further. The historic Dragonspine guidelines are typically less stringent on attendance. Now you have to maintain, I think it's 60% of what you need in order to attain a land status, and typically you need to you fail 2 audit cycles in a row, and then their BoD considers the park for demotion. The admin manual and bylaws that were approved in August for Northreach very clearly do not include that diminished attendance level. And I'm not looking at them right now, and I should be, so I apologize. But the admin manual makes it clear that you would be and I'm going to stop talking here because I need to look at the admin manual before I say whatever's next. So, I'm sorry.
So we fully understand that we failed 2 audits, whether or not, well, I believe we failed the one a while back, and then we failed the last one, and we're definitely going to fail this next one on attendance. But we, as a park, and kind of the members of the park who are, being considered for top 5, have discussed it amongst ourselves, and we've decided we kind of want to put it before our populace as an open discussion to concentrate more on building the park back up to what it used to be, and whether or not it would be beneficial to remove some of those things that we would have to focus on if we only demoted ourselves to barony. And it would allow our park to feel that they have control of their own fate, as opposed to just leaving it up to basically everybody else.
For sure. So, as Hadelin said, the control of any land's park size right now does rest with the Dragonspine BoD. But I mean, essentially, you can have your open discussion and all thing, and then this board would take that into consideration, and I can't see a reason that the board would go against what your people want, and then we can use that to make our recommendation to the Dragonspine BoD, which again has historically just gone along with whatever we recommended, and again, I can't imagine them voting against what your people have said they want as a park.
And I do want to make this very clear. I'm not doing this because I want to. I'm doing this because it would, benefit the park.
Mara connected.
And it would benefit the people. I don't do this. I don't take this lightly because we've been a duchy for such a long time. But we have to focus on what is better for everyone.
Yeah, for sure.
Sorry, I was pawing through the admin manual, and I just pasted into the chat here the pertinent section. And what we currently have in the admin manual is should a recognized region fail to meet the minimum standards set forth for 2 or more reporting periods, the board shall consider it for demotion. So it's really similar to what the Dragonspine BoD has laid out. And also, as a point of clarification, the Astrowind's previous, their last audit was a fail, but the last audit before was a pass, and just not an excellent, but I don't believe that one was a fail.
Okay,
but I can look it up in the audit record. So anyhow, there's no action for us to take as a board at this point in time. I thought it was important for us to have that conversation and to be aware and see what we can do to make things positive. And I think that, Dieter, your suggestion of bringing it to your populace is excellent, and probably the best way forward.
I agree. Were there any more questions, thoughts, comments, concerns on land statuses before we move on? Okay, great. Next and final thing, the regent position in Astral Winds. So as we kind of discussed at the beginning before we had actually officially approved the agenda, Hars literally just a couple weeks ago did essentially the same thing in his park. Personally, I we can discuss it and potentially give the go ahead here from the board, but I feel that it would be important for this to go through a local althing. So, because it is almost directly, I don't want to say a violation, but it's doing something differently than the rules that the people have said they want to be governed by. So I think it would be important for your park to be able to weigh in on it.
Okay, I just, once again, it's one of those things I wanted to make sure for transparency that the board, the governing body, knew that this was taking place and it wasn't just kind of sprung upon you.
For sure, and I appreciate that. And by all means, let's discuss it as a board. I guess I was starting my discussion there with, I think it's important for the all thing to hear it too.
I have a question. Dieter, did you say that you guys are having an all thing this weekend?
Correct. It was supposed to be the one for electing the prime minister, correct?
Well, you'll have an election this weekend. I just didn't know if you're having local items for an all thing as well.
Yeah, there was. Those were placed upon the. Those were placed upon the. Sorry. During the election, there was also going to be an all thing this weekend that I announced last week.
Okay, cool. So I was gonna say, so what happened in Hars's situation, which he had already sort of mentioned, was that he didn't quite meet the week deadline of announcing the items on the all thing. So he held the local all thing, and then it came back to the Council of Crowns for ratification. And even though this all thing may have more than a week of notification, it might be a good thing. Although, I don't know, I'm trying to look through the admin manual to find out like how we handle this. Sorry, I'm not finding the sections that I need right now.
So basically, when I was looking up the rules for this, the person who, I would like to appoint a regent, but it specifically states I have to appoint a regular member to become my regent, which I believe is the same issue Hars was having with Cinder.
Correct. Correct.
In order to fill out my top 5 position, I had a young lady who volunteered to take the regent position. I informed her of everything that it would entail, including her attendance requirement. And she agreed to it and said she would, attend every week here on out. But because she's not a regular member, I did say that we were placing it on an all thing after I notified the board of directors.
So, oh, sorry, Hars, I see you're about to talk. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say I can sort of give my premature approval for this, mostly just for the similar circumstances I was in.
So I think what might be a good sort of precedent to set, which I think this is exactly what we did with your case also, Hars, but I think a good standard to get into for, if we're going to be appointing non-regular members would be for it to be brought to the attention of the board, which it has been, run through a local all-thing, and then the results of that all-thing ratified by the COC.
I think that probably covers like all of the areas that we need to make sure that the right people who have the right authority to make amendments or adjust the admin manual have done so.
Yeah, that was kind of my thoughts.
Well, thankfully we do have that meeting this weekend as well.
And it might be a little overkill, but I'd rather overkill it than underkill it.
Totally.
Yeah, so I'll let you guys, I'll let everyone know the results of the all thing this weekend and have it ratified by the Council of Crowns on Sunday.
Sweet.
Awesome.
All right, guys. I think that wraps everything up for us tonight. Was there anything further anyone wanted to discuss?
Do we need to, just out of curiosity, since
Gideon,
this is a
nothing from
BoD
me.
order, since this is a BoD meeting, do we need to have like a motion to do anything on that appointing?
Well, not at this moment, no, because we aren't directly taking an action. Dieter just informed us of his plan.
Okay, I just know the BoD meetings are a lot more motion agended.
I think the only motion we have left today is the motion to adjourn.
That is truth.
Sweet.
So I will make the motion to adjourn.
I second that.
Does anybody want to keep talking? All right. Hearing no objections, motion passes, and meeting is adjourned at 9 p.m.
Sweet. Thank you, everybody.